Hello and welcome to the Mad Leprechaun. My name is Mert Walsh. I'm at Jim Ames Motorcycles, Braintree. I'm about to take out this beautiful KTM 790 Duke for an initial first impressions review. If that's something that interests you, please stick around and stay tuned until after the intro. Right, I'm literally just kind of settling myself in because compared to the 390 that I rode previously, this is physically a much bigger bike. Not much bigger, but it is bigger. So if you were anything like me, quite tall, and you're going to struggle for a little bit of leg room, this could be an option. 2000 revs, 4th gear, just wind it on. Feels nice, very nice. Now I rode the 790 Adventure while I was at the ABR a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that the engine in the 790 was the same. It's similar. Gearbox going down through the gearbox is quite nice too. But yeah, so the engine is similar, it's not the same. One thing I would say, just going over a few humps, lumps and bumps like I have just done, the suspension on this bike is by White Power Apex, and it is non-adjustable. So the front end is upside down, non-adjustable. The rear is a single or monoshock, but you can adjust it for preload only with a C-spanner. And furnished with that information, how good is it with a 15 stone odd bloke sitting on it? Now I wasn't gentle over those bumps at all, but the suspension handled or coped with me bumping over them quite well. So straight off the bat should be doing 50. So 50, and I've got an amount of air hitting me, a nice amount of air just hitting me just here. Weirdly, a bit like the 390, no air, no turbulent air up around my helmet at all, which is brilliant. It means that if you are on a motorway, you'll take the wind to your chest. We're kind of half expecting that. It's a naked motorcycle. But you don't want to feel like your head has been ripped off your shoulders. And thankfully, yeah, I mean, I have to take into account that I'm wearing completely the wrong crash helmet really for this style of motorcycle. I really do need to get myself one without a peak, because you can feel the wind on the top of my peak, and I do appreciate that you would not be riding this style of motorbike with a peaked helmet. This bike is all about twisties. Unfortunately, I've got myself behind a lorry. More than enough grunt to get past, and we're into the 30s. So differences between the 790 Adventure and the 790 Duke. One thing I can say is The 790 Adventure had cruise control as an optional extra, but I had got it. This hasn't got cruise control, and it's not an optional extra. I think I just found the limit of the suspension for someone with my weight. Got a little bit of a kind of a wallow mid-corner then, but that may have been me, and this is first impression, so we're still getting used to it. It feels very sporty seating position, so I'm riding on the balls of my feet at the moment. Got an amount of weight on my wrists, on my arms, and I would say almost equal amount of weight on my bottom, so, or maybe slightly more on my wrists, so it's definitely more sporty. I seem to be finding the back of vans today. I mean, the suspension is standard, non-adjustable, but for what it is, I think it's working really well. It is giving me quite a lot of feedback of this small country road. It's got an amount of bumps in it, you can probably hear that in my voice, but I can feel them. I'm not suffering because of them, and you need to be able to feel the bumps and the undulations and know what the bike is doing under you, and the suspension is doing just that. Wow, that engine is an absolute dream. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh baby, come on. Oh, that just feels lovely. Really, really nice. Oh, it's a nice place to be. I would say that's a typical KTM quick shifter. It's very responsive, but it's a little bit trigger happy, so unless you plan to change gear, keep your foot away from the gear shift. Coming through that corner, or just coming out of the corner, my foot was just underneath the quick shifter, and it was wondering, do you want to change up? Do you want to change up? What do you want to do? This bike has a 285 degree crank. With a 285 degree crank does give you a very torquey motor, because that's the nature of a V-twin. Like I did say though, this isn't a V-twin, but it's giving you the feel and the character of a V-twin. The engine comes with two balancing shafts, so the balancing shafts take out a lot of the unnecessary buzzes and rattles. I've noticed the dash, LCD obviously, it's just done it, thankfully, so it changes colour from the white on, it's black on white, and then when you go into dark situation it goes white on black. So what I like about the torquey nature of the motor is sometimes you go into a corner and you don't want to brake. At least I don't anyway. I see a corner, I react to it by changing down, but I don't want to be on the brake and kind of, you know, so I'd rather just close the throttle and hopefully if the engine has an amount of torque or engine braking, then it will slow me down a fraction, and then I can stay in that gear and open the throttle progressively coming out of the corner. Now I know I'm telling you how to suck an egg, but that's how I like to ride the bike, and this is exactly what I like. So I react to the corner, close the throttle, bike is slowing itself down, then middle of the corner, progressively turn the tap back on, and you have this big well of torque that makes it, you feel, woohoo! Oh yeah! The sides of the fuel tank have got, they're sculpted, so me and my big long legs fit in really nicely. I feel like I've got something almost to grip onto, so as I go through a right-hander, I feel like my top part of my knee's got something to hold onto. But there's more than enough room for my leg. My foot is below my hip and my shoulder is forward of my hip, so it's sporty. I'm not upright, I'm pushed forward a fraction, but not too much. It's, you know, you're holding that, I'm holding that just at 2,500 revs, 5th gear, 35 miles per hour, and you can just feel it's just sitting on the torque, ready for when you want to open the throttle. Because this is a first impressions review, I guess if I was riding this bike or had this bike for longer, you would obviously I would get more used to how the bike handles and how the bike feels. But my initial impressions are very, very good. And one of complete delight. It's very nice. I'm being careful on the entry to the corners because it is so much lighter than anything I've ridden or anything that I normally ride. So on initial kind of turn in, it wants to turn in. So I don't want to turn in too early. So I'm being kind of slightly cautious on the entries. We're back in Finchinfield. Let's try and find a place where I can pull over and do a walk round.
So there it is, the 790 Duke, the middle child of the Duke family. It comes in 2 different colours, and you won't be surprised to find out that this one is orange. The other one is grey. I'll try and find a grey image to put in so you can see with the grey colour. The engine, the heart of the bike, is liquid cooled 4-stroke parallel twin with a 285-degree crankshaft. The engine also features 2 balance shafts because nobody likes unpleasant vibrations. The 285-degree crank gives you bags of character. Does it? Oh yeah, it does. It has an 8-valve head, double overhead cam, 799cc, or if you're in the States, 48.8 cubic inches. The clutch on the 790 is PASC, a non-hopping mechanically operated clutch. Power Assist Slipper Clutch, that's what PASC stands for. The claimed power is 105 horsepower or 78 kilowatts at 8,500 RPM, and the torque figure is 87 Newton meters at 8,000 RPM. The bike is A2 compatible, so if you're 19, this could be your first motorcycle. It can be limited down to 35 kilowatts. So no need to buy a bigger bike when you pass your license. Simply return it to KTM, and for a small fee, they will turn the power up, and you are good to go. The frame is steel trellis. The engine is part of the stress member, so it's part of its own frame, thereby reducing weight. The TFT screen is 5-inch. Colour. Yeah, it's got some colour on it, but not an awful lot of colour. Mostly black and white. Engine, ABS, traction control, neutral, oil, and your hazard warning. It's not a hazard warning light, it's just an engine warning light. If I'm honest, it gives me all of the information I could possibly want on the screen. I don't really need any more than that. It's got the time, ambient temperature, the trip, and the range left in the fuel tank. Speed there, and the revs up around the outside. Bosh, done. That's all I need. The riding modes on this bike, let's see if I can go into the riding modes, are sports. Street is selected at the moment, rain, and on this particular bike, track. But this is an optional extra. The bike has a 6-speed transmission or gearbox with an optional extra quick shifter. If I bought this bike, I would definitely go for the optional extra. I know there's an argument that they should enable it from the factory, but they don't. So I'm not entering the argument. Anyway, it also comes with an optional extra, MSR, which is an optional extra, like I just said, motor slip regulation. To start the bike, simply turn on the key, wait for it to go through its little startup check, kill switch off, and then she fires into life. Tyres and wheel dimensions. Front tyre is a 120/70/17 and the back is a 180/55/17. The front suspension is White Power Apex suspension, which is an in-house brand owned by KTM, with 140 millimeters of travel, and the front end is non-adjustable for preload or rebound, but I have to say it works an absolute treat. No problems with the suspension at all. Rear suspension is also by White Power Apex. The amount of travel is 150 millimeters. However, the preload can be set on the back of this bike, but that's all. I think for someone of my weight, I'm about 15 odd stone in old money, and I think I would like to bring the preload up a fraction, but that's all. As I'm around this side of the bike, the final drive is chain, and the chain is an X-ring styled chain. LED headlight and indicators. Unfortunately, no hazard lights and no cruise control. Switch gear on the bike is very easy to use. Horn on the left hand side. Above that is the indicators. This is for your screen for your engine modes and such. And around the front, your headlights on a two-way switch. I'm guessing, and I'll find out if I'm right or not, that the lights turn themselves on or off automatically depending whether it's day or dimly lit weather. Over on the other side, there is just one switch, and that's it. The starter kill switch. Brake discs up front are two 300mm discs. Brake calipers are two radial mounted 4-piston calipers, and they work an absolute treat. The rear brake has a 240mm disc with a 2-pistoned caliper that works just fine. The dry weight is 174 kilograms. The seat height is 800 125 millimeters. The fuel tank capacity, to the best of my knowledge, and I shall put something on the screen if I'm wrong, is 14.1 litres. But how much does it cost, I hear you say? The price at the moment is $7,999, and that's the on-the-road price. This bike is exciting to ride. The engine is torquey and packs a punch. I did say that while we were riding along, and I meant it. It's awesome. I would go so far as to say that the engine gearbox configuration that they've put together with a frame is addictive. It's an awesome package. I really like it. The 285-degree crankshaft gives the bike plenty of character. If you've liked this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you haven't liked this video for any particular reason whatsoever, please feel free to leave a thumbs down. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below, and hopefully I shall see you in another one. Until next time, people, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.